Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. Have you ever found yourself in a moment where everything seems to go wrong and all you want to do is scream or shut down? Maybe your toddler throws a tantrum, your baby won't sleep, or your husband says something that triggers you. As Christian moms, we know we are called to respond with love and grace, but in the heat of the moment, it can literally feel impossible. But what if there's a way to reframe your thoughts and turn those chaotic moments into opportunities for peace and growth? Today, I'm going to dive into how to reframe your thoughts when you feel triggered and how by doing so you can respond with grace and find God's peace even in the toughest moments of motherhood. Hey Mama, welcome back to Emotionally Healthy Legacy, the podcast where we talk about how to raise our children with love, patience, and peace of Christ, even when motherhood feels like a chaos. If you've been struggling with emotional triggers, this episode is for you. We're going to focus on how to reframe your thoughts so you can respond with grace even when your emotions want to take over. This is something I know that I've struggled with personally. There has been countless times when I felt like my children's behavior or difficult situations where things are not going my way were just too much to handle. But I've learned that it's not about controlling the external world. It's about how we choose to respond internally. So let's dive in. We will be focusing on the power of thought reframing in motherhood. Our thoughts are incredibly powerful. They shape how we feel, how we behave, and ultimately how we interact with the world around us. In motherhood, this can make all the difference. Your thoughts directly affect how you feel and the actions that you take. It comes the circumstance, then it's the thought, it's the feeling, and then the actions. A circumstance is out of your control. Your thought is in your control. That is something that is completely in your control. You don't have control which thought comes in first, but you have control over which thought you're going to focus and dwell on. You're either going to believe that first thought and expand it in your mind, and it's going to bring up certain feelings and it's going to contribute to certain actions, or you're going to recognize, hey, this is not a supportive thought. This is not helpful, and reframe it to a supportive, empowering thought that brings different feelings and brings out different actions. In Romans 12:2, it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." When we choose to reframe our thoughts, we participate in the transformation that God calls us to, a transformation that allows us to respond to life's challenges in a Christ-like way. So reframing means to take a negative, overwhelming thought and replacing it with a positive, grace-filled one. It doesn't mean pretending that everything is fine, but rather choosing a different perspective, one that aligns with God's truth. So let's dive in and get practical and implement this in our day-to-day scenarios with our kids. How do you actually reframe your thoughts when you are in the midst of chaos? Here are the 4 steps that are going to help you do that. Step number 1, you stop and you take a breath, okay? When you're feeling heated and triggered, your thinking brain gets turned off and you shift to your emotional part of the brain and you start acting in emotional ways. So we need to pause and take a breath. When we breathe, we send oxygen back to our thinking part of the brain, and it's going to help us activate that part of the brain again, okay? So you pause. When you start feeling frustrated and tense, or your child is doing something triggering, your husband says something, your baby's crying after you put them down for a nap and you walked away, you take a breath. The first step to reframing your thoughts is to pause. When you feel your emotions rising, you need to stop and take a breath. Like I said, it sends oxygen back to your thinking part of the brain. This helps you slow down and create space between the trigger and your response. So we need to be able to create that space, because if you find yourself reacting super quick when your kids or your husband or somebody does something you don't like and you feel triggered, we need to slow that response down. One of the ways to do that is to take a breath. And that will allow you to give you a moment to pause and take a breath to respond. When your thoughts are running wild and your emotions are high, your brain can go into fight or flight mode. Taking a moment to breathe allows you to step out of that stress response and to regain some control. So for example, imagine your toddler is throwing a tantrum. Just as you finally got the baby to sleep, you're feeling exhausted and your nerves are on edge. In this moment, you might feel the frustration bubbling up, ready to explode. But before you react, take a deep breath, pause, and give yourself a moment to gather your thoughts. One of my go-to phrases that I teach my clients is, "This isn't to upset me." You take a breath, you pause. This isn't to upset me. This isn't to upset me. The Bible verse that goes along with this is, "Be still and know that I am God." Psalms 46:10. So the next step is to detach from the emotional flooding, which is really hard to do. I'll tell you this is insanely hard to do. Is it possible? Yes. And it's still very challenging. It's important to detach from the situation. Your initial emotional reaction might be valid, but it's not the whole picture. When we detach, we give ourselves space to gain perspective. Because right now, you see your toddler screaming while you put the baby to sleep and you get super frustrated. You feel emotionally charged and your thoughts are like, why is he doing this to me? He's not letting me put the baby to sleep. And you only see your perspective in that moment, which produces all those frustrating feelings. It's like you need to step back from a painting. When you get so close, it's really hard to see the full image. But when you take a step back, everything comes into a clearer focus. One of the best ways to do that is to be curious. Anger and curiosity cannot coexist. If you are curious about another person's behavior, I wonder why my toddler is screaming. I wonder why my husband said that comment. I wonder why this is happening. You are less likely to react. Because when you are curious about the circumstance, about the situation, your brain has not put the pieces together yet to come up with a conclusion. It's still trying to figure it out. And if it's still trying to figure it out, it's not going to have a conclusion of frustration and anger yet. So for example, in the same scenario where your toddler is tantruming, detaching from the immediate emotional flood, instead of getting caught in the swirl of irritation, remind yourself that this moment, it's just a moment. It's not a reflection of your entire day or your worth as a mom. This is temporary. God is with you, and this will pass. Because when we're in the moment with our kids and they're throwing a tantrum, and especially if it's a longer tantrum, we feel like this is never going to end. Okay? It's like it feels like it's always going to go on like this. So telling your mind, this will pass. This is temporary. God is with me. This will pass. So the Bible verse that goes along with this is the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart and minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. All right, step 3. So step 1 is to pause and take a breath. Step 2 is detaching emotionally from the situation, and curiosity is the best way to do that. Step 3 is reframing with God's truth. Now that you've created space, it's time to reframe. Look at the situation from a new perspective and one that aligns with God's word. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means replacing them with truth that gives you peace. So let's go deeper. What does that look like? What does God say about the situation? What is the purpose that He might have in this moment? For me, yes, that's so hard to think in that moment. But if you choose to pause first, what does God want me to learn in this situation? What's this purpose of this situation right now? What's the purpose that He might have for me in this moment? When you pause, you will be able to have time to ask yourself this question. So in example 1, if you feel frustrated because your toddler won't stop asking you for something again and again and again, instead of thinking, why can't he just listen? This is so frustrating. You might reframe it by saying, God, this is an opportunity for me to teach patience and gentleness. Please help me respond with love and not frustration. And one of my go-to phrases that my coach taught is, this is my chance to be patient. This is my chance to be gentle. God, please help me to respond with love and not frustration in this moment. Another example would be if your husband says something that hurts your feelings, which happens, right, in marriage, instead of thinking, he always does this to me, he doesn't understand me, you might catch your thought. Maybe that's your first automatic thought, and you reframe it and you say to yourself, God, help me see this through your eyes. I'm going to trust that you will convict him and guide me to respond with grace. And you say a prayer to God in that moment. Help me see my husband through your eyes. I'm going to trust that you will convict him If he actually is doing something wrong and hurtful, I'm going to trust that you are going to convict him and help me respond with grace. That doesn't mean that you just let your husband say whatever, whenever, and treat you poorly. If he's emotionally charged, this is not a time and a place to have deeper discussions about how it has hurt you. But later on, that'd be a great topic to come back to and say, babe, when you said that yesterday, I just need you to know that that really hurt my feelings. And this is what came up for me when you said that. I felt blank, blank, blank. I would appreciate for you not to do that in the future. You can still communicate. In the moment, though, if someone's already emotionally charged, if he's emotionally charged and you are feeling triggered, this is not the time for learning. Even if you do tell him that, he's not going to even remember it. It's just not even going to stick because his thinking brain is turned off. And the Bible verse, for the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. 2 Timothy 1:7. So step 3 was reframing your thoughts, your negative automatic thoughts that come in, and you're like, nope, I'm going to focus on the truth. That's the negative thought. I caught it. I'm going to choose to focus on this instead, and you redirect it to the truth. And step 4 is responding with grace. Finally, after reframing your thoughts, it's time to respond. The goal isn't to be perfect, my friend. It's to respond with love, grace, and heart that is alignment with God's will. In the earlier scenario, when the toddler is having a tantrum, after taking deep breath and reframing your thoughts, you might be able to respond with much more calmness and patience by saying, I know you feel upset and you need to be quiet so the baby can sleep. Let's try again quietly. Tell me what you want to say in a calm voice, and I will help you. Instead of responding with anger or frustration, you are responding with a gentle and a loving tone. And the Bible verse for this section is, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Proverbs 15:1. And one of the most practical ways that I teach my clients to do that is through specific journaling assignments. And I will link an episode here in the show notes, the one that talks about ways to respond in a God-honoring way to rewire your brain instead of going back to automatic ways of reacting. So, Mama, I know it's not easy, but with God's help, we can reframe our thoughts in a way that aligns with His truth, bringing peace and grace into our homes. The next time you feel triggered, remember these steps. Pause and take a breath. Detach from the emotion. Okay, disconnect. Curiosity is the best way to do that. Anger and curiosity cannot coexist. I wonder why blank, blank, blank is happening. Reframing with God's truth. What is the truth in this situation? Okay, instead of believing the first thought that comes in, and responding with grace and asking God to give you the wisdom and discernment to respond with grace. I hope today's episode gave you some practical tools to reframe your thoughts and respond to those triggering moments with grace. But I know sometimes even the right tools, it can feel like you're stuck in a cycle of frustration, exhaustion, and overwhelm. If you're ready to break free from those emotional patterns and walk in more peace and patience, I want to invite you to join Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program. This is going to fast track you. And in 12 weeks, you're going to transform your motherhood. Instead of trying to put pieces together from free podcasts, free downloads, books, and just trying to put all these pieces together and still it's taking you a while to reach your goals, this is the fastest way to become a calmer and peaceful, patient mom. You have a step-by-step process and you have accountability along the way. So if you are 10 out of 10 ready to start making changes in your life, if you are so done screaming and yelling at your kids and reacting in frustration, if you don't want your kids to remember you as a mom who's constantly grumpy and just moody and nothing they can do is ever good enough, then this program is for you. This program was designed specifically for Christian moms like you who are tired of feeling triggered and are longing for a peaceful, Christ-centered way of parenting. Together, we will work on transforming your mindset, your emotional responses, and daily rhythms so you can experience more joy, calm, and connection with your children and spouse and God. In the Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program, you will get access to personalized coaching, practical strategies, and a supportive community of like-minded moms who are walking on the same journey. If you're ready to stop reacting and start responding with love, peace, and patience, this program, my friend, is for you. If you want to start making changes today, if you want this to be the best summer year for your kids, and you want your kids to remember you as lighthearted, playful, connective, and present mama, this program is for you. I'd love to help you step in the peaceful motherhood that you've always dreamed of. Head over to emotionallyhealthylegacy.com/coaching to learn more. Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.